Good morning, folks. This is Mike coming at you with yet another video on Intro to Algebra. In the previous video, we talked about some nice techniques that we can use to factor some nice trinomials. In this video, we're going to talk about some other techniques that we can use, specifically, though, to factor some not as nice trinomials. All the trinomials that we saw in the last couple of videos, the number in front of the x squared was always a 1. But unfortunately, that's not always going to be the case. Sometimes we are going to see a trinomial that has a number in front of the x squared other than a 1. And we still need to see if we can factor them. So I want to show you a couple ways that we can factor these types of trinomials. So the first way that I want to show you involves factoring by grouping, that thing we talked about in section 5.1, and a handy little trick. So I'll tell you what the process is, and then we're going to use that process simultaneously on a sample problem. So suppose we have to factor 2x squared plus 7x plus 6. So what you're going to do is you're going to look at the first and the last numbers. In this case, the 2 and the 6. What you're thinking, or what we are thinking, is we need to come up with two numbers that will add to the number in front of the x, the coefficient on the x. So I need two numbers that will add to give me the positive 7. And those numbers also have to multiply to the product of these first and last numbers. So I need numbers that will multiply to give me 2 times 6 or 12. So I need things that will add to 7 and multiply to 12. So if you think, okay, numbers that add to 7 multiply to 12, you do some thinking, and it shouldn't take you too long to see that we get 3 and 4. So 3 and 4 are the numbers that I'm looking for. They add to 7 and they multiply to 12. So here's where the trick comes in. What we're going to do is we're going to take that middle term, the 7x, and we're going to break it up. We're going to write it, specifically we'll rewrite it as the sum of two terms, of two things just containing x, where each term has the numbers we found as a coefficient. So I'm going to take that 7x and I'm going to rewrite it as 3x plus 4x. And that's exactly what I did down here, as you can see. I took the 2x squared plus 7x plus 6. You kept the 2x squared, and then plus, I took the 7x and wrote it as 3x plus 4x, and then I had that plus 6. Now that we have it written like this, we can now factor by grouping. I can take the first two terms and the last two terms and look at those as their own groups, pull out the GCF of each group, and then pull out the common factor. So if I have the 2x squared plus 3x plus 4x plus 6, we figure out, okay, what is the GCF of this group here? Well, 2x squared and 3x. By now, you should know that the GCF shouldn't take too long to figure out that the GCF there is x, and the GCF of 4x and 6 is going to be 2. So we rewrite this as x times, when you divide out the GCF, you get 2x plus 3, plus, when you divide the GCF of 2 out of here, you get 2 times 2x plus 3. As you can see, that's what we did down here. We made those groups, pulled out the GCF, and now this is a term, this is a term. Both terms have the common factor of 2x plus 3, so I pull out that common factor, and I'm left with x plus 2, because that's what was left over, times the 2x plus 3. So we will do some more practice problems here, so we can get more practice with this method. So we're going to factor each of these trinomials. First one, 6y squared plus y minus 1. So again, what we have to do is we have to look at the first number and the last number as well. And we are including the signs here too. So I need numbers. I need to come up with two numbers that will add to the number in front of my y here. Secretly, I have a 1. So I need two numbers that will add to that positive 1 and numbers that will multiply to the product of the positive 6 and the negative 1, or negative 6. Okay, so now we start to think of the numbers that will sort of do what we want them to. What numbers will multiply to negative 6 and add up to positive 1? After a little bit of thinking and some trial and error, perhaps, you come to 3 and negative 2. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take this middle term, that plus 1y, and I'm going to rewrite it so that it's a sum of two terms, the sum of two things that each contain just a y, and the numbers in front of those y's are going to be these numbers right here, the 3 and the negative 2. So I'll say 6y squared minus 2y plus 3y minus 1. If you add up those two like terms, you come back to your plus 1y. And now we factor by grouping. We'll give ourselves some more room, and we'll go down here. We're going to look at those two terms and those two terms as forming my two groups. So what is the GCF of 6y squared and 2y? Well, should find that the GCF is 2y. When you divide out that GCF, 6y squared divided by 2y gives you 3y minus, and 2y divided by 2y gives us 1. What is the GCF of 3y and 1? Well, actually, this one's very easy, and it's actually kind of boring. The GCF is just 1. And if you divide this thing by 1, you get the same thing. So we've pulled the GCF out of each of our groups. There's a term, common factor, pull out that common factor, 3y minus 1, and what are we left with? 2y plus 1. And we have that guy factored. I'll let you try the third one on your own. We'll go on to this second one here. 12x squared minus 5x minus 2. So, again, I'm looking at the first and the last numbers. What I am going to do is I need to come up with numbers that will add to the coefficient on the x, the number and sign in front of the x. So I need numbers that add to negative 5 and multiply to the product of these two numbers, negative 2 and 12, or negative 24. Okay, so you start to do some thinking. You think of the possible numbers, the possible combinations, and eventually you stumble on the correct combination, which is negative 8 and 3. Negative 8 plus 3 gives you negative 5. Negative 8 times 3 gives you negative 24. So what we do now is we take that middle term, that minus 5x, and I rewrite it. I break it up as the sum of two separate x's. The numbers in front of those x's are these numbers right here. So I'll have minus 8x plus 3x. And then I still have my minus 2. We group. And we factor out, well, first we figure out the GCF of each group, and then we pull that GCF out. So the GCF of 12x squared and 8x is going to be 4x. It should not be hard to figure that out at this point. And when you divide that GCF out, 12x squared divided by 4x is 3x, and then minus 8x divided by 4x is 2. The GCF of 3x and 2 is 1. And when you divide that thing by 1, you just get that same thing. Two terms there. Common factor, the 3x minus 2. Pull out that common factor, 3x minus 2 times, what do we have left over? 4x plus 1. And there you go. So guys, as I said, I'll let you try that third one on your own. And we will stop this video right here. In the next video, I will show you the other way that you can use to factor these not so nice trinomials. So if you have questions or comments, please be sure to reach out to me, guys. Email, voicemail, in-person visit, text, whatever. Until the next video, take it easy, guys.